what had happened was I was not feeling well, and I guess I thought I had the flu because it was like every bone in my body was aching. I had a very high fever. I had gone into the doctor's office the next day because I was starting to just feel so bad, and I believe they said I had a UTI. I was a little surprised. I don't think I had one of those in 30 years. And I said, okay. So they gave me medicine, but I proceeded to get worse. My fever got higher, my aches, everything was just almost to the point of a little disoriented at times, laying in bed, just really thinking I had a flu. So after about the third day, when it just worse and higher fever, I went to the ER, and the doctor looked at me, and my girlfriends took me because my son was little. So my girlfriends went with me so my husband could stay with my son. And the doctor looked at me and goes, "We are admitting her." So and I went, and I spent the next, I think, 4 days. I think it was home, and then 4 or 5 days in the hospital. But by the last day, they were doing all kinds of tests, and they were not finding anything. The fever was spiking and going down. They were giving me medication, which I wasn't a fan of, but they needed to hydrate me, and I just really felt disoriented. And I teach meditation and practice meditation. And so I would try to meditate just to help my immune system because I know it boosts it. And I was laying in the hospital bed, just trying to put my thoughts together, to breathe, and everything just hurt. And so this was just going on as they were doing tests and tests. And then I remember how I couldn't bring myself to meditate was very humbling, because I know I work with a lot of people that will say, I can't. So I really learned a lot in that experience as far as that part too. But what had happened, the doctor came in and told me that they were going to release me. And I looked at her and I said, if you let me go home, I'm going to die. And I knew it. And I said, everything hurts. I'm no better. I'm worse than I was when I came in. And she says, well, we've done every test. We can't find anything. I guess you just have the flu. And now, mind you, this was probably 12 years ago now. And so I said, if you'd send me home, I'll die. And I knew it. I just knew I would die. Now, I think she thought I was being a little dramatic. But so then I decided, laying there in that bed, just feeling like I was dying, that I would make a phone call to my primary doctor, who was not a hospital doctor. And I said, what was happening. And the nurse must have relayed it to him. Little did I know, he was on his way, but I did not know that. Now, so I'm laying in bed, and I know that this doctor said she's going to release me. And then all of a sudden, and as a medium, I feel spirit, and I communicate for people all the time. It's what I do. But I started to see people screaming, and the only way to explain it is like this gray, ashy kind of view, and faces and screaming. And I'm laying there and I go, oh God, please, Jesus, why are they coming to me now? I can't work. I can't. It wasn't the type of thing I would usually see either, but I knew it was a very low frequency, I would say, dimension of some sort. And I knew it was not peaceful by any means, because I could just hear voices screaming. And then, I'm just observing this, and my head's down, and I hear, that's when I said, why are they coming to me now? I can't do anything. And I saw Jesus in between me and them. And he was standing there. And it makes me emotional to even say this. He said, they are not coming to you. You are reaching their frequency. Pray now. And I just took a breath, and I started doing the Our Father, which, as a child, seeing things that scared me and not understanding the overwhelming emotions I had, I would always do that prayer. I always kind of left it on earth as it is in heaven. It was my place. And immediately when I did that, I realized that I could see that they weren't looking at me. And so that moment made so much sense when Jesus said, pray, and for him to tell you to pray, I don't know, it just something clicked, because I did. And within a moment or two, I think, a prayer, maybe the Our Father once or twice, I hear a voice say my name, and I look, and it's the doctor that I had called the office. And he said, my God, what is going on here? Because he looked at me, And I said, I don't know. I feel like I'm going to die. And he ran a certain test. I think he did a CT. What they had found out was my appendix had burst, and it probably burst the first day. And I was going septis or septic, I don't know exactly how they say the word. And when they did the CT, they could see the poison holding in my belly, but it was starting to go through me. So they brought me in to surgery and do whatever they do, and got me the right stuff to clean out the poison, whatever they do. But I'll never forget. And I still, like I said, I think it was like 12 years ago, but when I just say the story, how close to death I was. And why did I have to see that dimension? As a medium, and what I've learned about frequency and energy, what I've learned so much is it started to make more sense that I was hitting a very low frequency. And there are different levels, just like on Earth, there's different levels of frequency in people's, perception of life. And so something that kind of proceeded after that experience that was quite interesting. I remember, obviously I started to get well rather quickly. It took a few weeks to bounce back 100%, but I remember in my thoughts just putting out to I feel Jesus, because I feel he listens. And I said, where was that place? And I think I knew where it was. It was a very low frequency. There's a word we have for that. And I knew it was not, it wasn't comfortable to even see it or feel the energy that I felt. But I asked about it in my meditative moments and quiet time that I take. And it was interesting that when I meditated the next day, which is usually something that I experience a lot, if I put out a thought or a question, usually within 24 hours, when I'm not thinking about it, maybe doing my daily meditation, maybe just walking in nature, doing something, I get an answer. And it's clear to me that that answer is about what I thought the other day. It's usually 24 hours. It used to be 72. Now it's much quicker. I think it's part of the trust. And I remember the experience that I was seeing was I was sitting like in the Grand Canyon, and I was sitting, and I've never been there, but let me tell you, I felt like I was there. And next to me, I could feel the presence of Jesus again. And I had asked about that place that I seen when I was filled with poison. And he told me to watch, just watch, because I could see the gray. And I got that glimpse again of what I had seen that day in the hospital, and I could see it. And he said, just watch. And then it was almost like when if you're from the generation of, I know I am, where when you were at concerts and you hit your Bic lighter and it was like ding, 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 now it's cell phones. So it's a little different when you see those things. And as I saw those little sparks of light, it was like so vast. I mean, I couldn't even, it looked like I said, sitting on the highest part of the Grand Canyon and seeing it real low. And when I saw that, I said, what is that? He says, that is them reaching and asking for light. That is them forgiving themselves and allowing themselves to go to the light. And that, now I'm like in this experience with tears coming down my face. And even though that wasn't probably an NDE, it was an experience I had about seeing that frequency and how quickly, and I was told by him that when that light sparks, immediately there will be an angel, there will be a loved one, there will be myself there to take them to the light. So it was a very powerful thing to see how that kind of people who, in a sense, bring themselves into that frequency when they cross over, and how in an eerie way beautiful it was to see how fast they could leave that darkness. And such a parallel to where we are in the world. When someone says, I just said, I'm done, I want to make this change, or I want to do that. And they immediately, share their epiphany of how everything started changing immediately. And I thought that was it's a beautiful way to understand how we can shift our own place and direction if we really go to the light of the heart. And he said that was their heart light, illuminating. So that's where my experience in then having that, the question that I had about it and how it got answered to me was so beautiful and brings hope to people. on earth as they're living.